Hello there YouTube, welcome along to Steve's coronavirus update. In today's episode I will be talking about Trump. I will also be talking about the daily statistics as well. And I will also be talking about Stanley Johnson as well. So I'm going to start today's video by talking about Donald Trump. Because over in the US, over the last week, he has been tested positive for COVID-19 along with his wife, Melania Trump, as well. And it's been a bit weird, to be honest, how he has got COVID and stuff like that, because quite a few of his close contacts that he has in the White House, etc, etc, have also tested positive for COVID-19 as well. And surely they would all need to self-isolate for 14 days. Now, Donald Trump has been going into hospital, he has been getting treatment in hospital, he has only had mild COVID symptoms as well, and yeah, so basically that's happened. Now the thing is Donald Trump is part of the high risk category because he is an obese man, and at the same time he is an old man as well. He is 74 years old, which makes him part of the high risk category of people who could potentially die from COVID-19. Now, to be honest, obviously Donald Trump has been, I've got Buddy with me, Donald Trump has obviously been going into hospital as well as a safety precaution. The doctors have been coming out and talking to the press and the media about his condition and whether or not it's improved or whether or not it's got worse or anything like that. So of course they have spoken about that, and a couple of days ago now, at the time of filming this video, Donald Trump actually did a drive-by where he had a lot of supporters outside the hospital supporting him, and he did greet some of those fans. Now, to be honest with you, I don't know, from what I know, I don't know whether or not there was any social distancing interactions that was involved in that. I don't know whether or not Donald Trump decided to give people handshakes or anything like that. I don't know. But what I do know is that there was quite a few fans who, after going to that little that little drive-by meet-up, I guess you could call it, hey, yeah, there was a couple of fans that said that they would die for that man. That they would die for the man. You know? Who would die for Donald Trump? Who actually would die for Donald Trump? I wouldn't. I would not, literally. I'm so glad that I live here in the UK and I don't live over in the US right now, to be honest with you. Not gonna lie. Because the death toll has gone completely out of control. You know? Their death toll over in the US is 210,000 people. Over here in the UK, we have roughly around about 41, maybe 42,000 deaths in the UK. You know? So compare that to the US's death toll right now. It's just unbelievable. It really is unbelievable. You know? And the reason why is because I think it has got partially something to do with the fact that obviously Donald Trump just doesn't seem to care about the virus. He really does not seem to care about the virus and how many lives it's taking and how many people are getting infected with the virus too over in the US, you know. And to be honest with you, to make matters worse, he hasn't self-isolated for 14 days. He went into hospital for just 2, maybe 3 days, and he's just come out of hospital as well. And at the same time as well, you know, he has gone back to the White House, taken his face covering off his face, and has addressed the people of America via Twitter and other media platforms, and he has actually said to them, don't be afraid of COVID. He's actually said, don't be afraid of COVID. And I can't believe that a world leader has stood in front of a camera and said, don't be afraid of COVID. It's like earlier this year when Boris Johnson contracted COVID-19. He was nearly on his deathbed. You know? He was in hospital, on oxygen. He was technically on his deathbed. Pretty much. You know? He was in a really bad state. And luckily, he pulled through. You know? And he is able to now, hopefully, get us out of this pandemic. Fingers crossed. You know? But you didn't see him earlier this year going up outside number 10 Downing Street, you know, standing there and saying to the nation and to the press, don't worry guys, you've got nothing to worry about. COVID is not going to harm you. Of course COVID's going to harm you. You know? Look at the death toll in America. Like I said, 210,000 people. And the death toll is rising day by day by day. You know? So, yes, you should be afraid of COVID. You know? You should be afraid. Because especially if you have underlying health conditions. Am I boring you, buddy? I think I am, aren't I? But anyway. But yeah, in all seriousness though, you know, you should be afraid of COVID, because if you have an underlying health condition, then you should be more afraid of COVID, because there is a more likely chance that you will die from that disease. You know? So that's all that I can really say on that matter. Is you should be afraid, you know, but at the same time you should be going outside your homes and doing things in a sensible way. You really should be doing things in a sensible way. As long as you're keeping your distance, washing your hands, you know, covering your face when you're in enclosed indoor spaces, you should be absolutely fine. You know? So there we go. That is a world leader. And luckily, obviously, they had a presidential debate, because obviously the presidential election is coming up on the 3rd of November. And obviously it was a presidential debate last week between Trump and Joe Biden. Luckily, Joe Biden and his wife Jill didn't contract COVID-19 while they were at the presidential debate. But yeah, it's a bit weird that 24 hours after Trump was diagnosed with COVID, obviously to be on the safe side, Joe Biden, which is obviously his presidential candidate, obviously, or his presidential nemesis, depends what you like to call it. You know, obviously he did take a test along with his wife Jill, and they both tested negative, but yet they were in a way kind of in close contact with Trump, obviously 24 hours prior to him being diagnosed with COVID-19. So there we go. You know, I do think that the man is an idiot for... Are you really tired? Are you that tired that I'm boring you with this coronavirus update? See, even Buddy is tired of COVID-19, guys. Even Buddy is tired of COVID-19. But anyway, so yeah, so basically all that I can say really on that matter is the man's an idiot. He doesn't really know what he's doing. He doesn't know how to deal or handle with a pandemic, clearly. But yeah, so So right now, I do feel sorry for every single American that has to deal with that clown as a president. I really do. And do you want to know something? I really do hope and pray that for America's sake, that Trump isn't elected for a second term. You know, I do hope that he gets out, Joe Biden gets in, and he deals with the pandemic in a more professional way than the way how Trump has been dealing with it. You know, that's all that I can say. And I do think, to be honest, if Trump wasn't in office right now and Joe Biden was, I reckon there would have been less deaths in America. You know, I really do. So there we go. Anyway, so that's my thoughts on that. I want to move on to Stanley Johnson, very quick, because Stanley Johnson is the father of Boris Johnson, our UK Prime Minister, and Stanley Johnson, for the last week now, has been caught breaking face mask rules 3 times in a row. 3 times. He was pictured in a UK newspaper within the last week, not wearing a face covering at all, which, by the way, is absolutely mandatory. You have to wear in a supermarket or a shop now in the UK. You have to wear one. But you know what he said hours after that photo was published to the media? He did say he was extremely sorry and he wasn't caught up on what the rules were. Well, can I just say something? Newsflash to everybody. Before you hit a supermarket, before you hit a shop, make sure you know what the face covering rules are in the UK before you go shopping. You know? It is pretty simple. It is pretty goddamn simple. Otherwise, you risk a fine. You pay a £200 plus fine. You know? So what would you prefer? Wear a mask and not get fined, or don't wear a mask and get fined? It's pretty simple. Anyway, so there's that. There is also the fact he also got caught a second time without wearing a face covering when he was in a busy airport lobby reading a book with his face covering down below his mouth where his chin is. So there was that. And then there was also another time where he was recently caught without wearing a face covering. Well, he was wearing a face covering, can I add, actually. No, he was. But basically, he was waiting for the tube in London. He was waiting for the tube in London. And the Transport for London rules on face coverings clearly states that all customers must wear a face covering that's covering their nose and their mouth at all times. He was covering his mouth while reading a newspaper with his face covering, but not his nose. So, my question is when is he getting fined? You know, he got away with the first time. To be honest, the police said after his first offence that they were not going to fine him. You know? Just because he is our Prime Minister's dad does not give him the goddamn excuse to not wear a face covering in a supermarket, in a shop. It doesn't give him the excuse to break the face covering rule twice, again, after breaking it the first offence. Literally. You know? How simple is it just to wear a face covering and to follow the goddamn rules? Literally. What kind of public figure is he being to the members of the public? If he's not wearing a face covering, if he's not wearing one properly over his mouth or his nose. You know? It's not rocket science. And it's just the fact that this is what annoys me the most, YouTube viewers. It's just the fact that, you know, these public figures, these celebrities can get away with not wearing a face covering, can get away with bending rules. But yet, us as the British public, we can't get away with it once, or twice, or 3 times. No, because as soon as we do it the first time, we get a fine come through the post from the police, from the government, to say you pay a £200 fine, you broke an offence, you broke a law. You know? And I just don't understand it. I really don't understand it at all. So, that is my question right now, is when's Stanley Johnson getting a fine for breaking lockdown, well, for breaking face mask rules? Because he's broken that offence 3 times in 1 week. So, he's broken it the first time. The police said that they're not going to fine him. He did it a second time, and he's done it a 3rd time too. So, when's he getting the fine, police? Or government? Come on, Boris. I know he's your dad, but still, he's still part of the British public. He's still, you know, he's still breaking rules. So, where's his fine? Cough it up, Boris. That's what I'm going to say. Cough it up. I don't care whether he's your family or not. He's still part of the British public. Anyway, moving on to the next thing I wanted to talk about in today's coronavirus update. It's going to be a little bit of a short coronavirus update. Not long as in like 45 minutes long, but it's going to be probably around about 20-25 minutes long, today's update. But anyway, the other thing I wanted to update you on was this past weekend we did not receive any daily statistics from the government in regards to the coronavirus daily positive tests. And the reason being is because it was an IT tech issue, apparently. A technical issue with IT was why we didn't really get many, many COVID results. But basically, no, sorry, what am I saying? No. So basically, over this last week, we've seen a massive rise in COVID cases, right? So the COVID cases have basically gone up from 12,000 to 22,000, or from 6,000 to 12,000 to 22,000. The reason being is because within this last week, 16,000 of those cases were not recorded. So, yeah, they were missing from the database. So, this last weekend, we've seen a huge rise in COVID cases because of a tech issue that happened around about a week ago. And obviously the government did not record those statistics on their systems, on their IT systems. So what they done was obviously they did decide to record those statistics over this last weekend. But apparently the reason why they had this IT technical issue is because of the fact that the health chiefs did not have enough columns on Excel to provide with more statistics. They run out of columns on Excel. Like, are you actually being for real? Are you actually being for real right now? So you're blaming Excel spreadsheet for the reason why you couldn't record statistics to the nation. That is poor. That is a poor excuse. It is such a poor excuse. It really is. You know, but yeah, they should have a backup somewhere. They really should have a backup somewhere where they can record these statistics and still send them out to the public and to the press. They should. They really should. So, I mean, I guess in a way, you know, at least they recorded them. But at the same time, you know, they should have recorded them on a backup system. Not left it for a week and gone, right, there's 16,000 cases missing here. So let us record it this weekend. Let's see a massive jump in COVID cases, you know. Let's panic the public even more by saying that now there's been the highest ever daily positive tests of COVID in the UK since the start of the outbreak, you know? I just can't believe it. I really can't believe it, to be honest. I really can't. So, that's according to the health chiefs anyway. So the other thing I wanted to talk about was Boris Johnson's appearance on Andrew Marr this past weekend on the BBC as well. That's the final thing I wanted to talk about in today's coronavirus update, because he did admit that he takes full responsibility for everything that's happened during this pandemic, and the handling of the pandemic as well, which is kind of a good thing, to be honest, that he's finally admitted that he has done wrong. He has also admitted that people are getting frustrated and furious and tired of the government and Boris and stuff like that with the way how they've been handling with the pandemic as well. But, you know, to be honest with you, it's weird how he knows what the public's opinions are on him and the government, but yet he doesn't want to change. He doesn't want to change people's opinions on the government and him in terms of the way how they've handled the pandemic. You know? Which again, is just really bad that he's, you know, constantly just doing mess up after mess up after mess up. You know? He really is. And he is sorry as well. He has also appeared on Andrew Marr to apologise to the public, again, for over-promising and under-delivering as well. So there is that as well, which again is kind of a good thing that he has apologised for that, because there has been times, let's be honest, where he has under-delivered. There has been times where he has over-promised the public certain things and it's not happened, you know. So there we go. But yeah, I mean, to be honest, he is at the same time hopeful that by the end of the year we could see a vaccine potentially, you know. And if so, then maybe we could all be vaccinated by around about Easter 2021. You know, spring 2021 is when we could potentially have a vaccine in place. But who knows at this rate? We don't know. You know, it all does depend how much more the year, how much longer it takes for the vaccine to be developed, and obviously, you know, obviously we don't really know exactly where we're going to be by the end of the year, you know, we really don't. But he did say that we are in for a bumpy Christmas, and bumpy even beyond Christmas as well. So, but yeah, so there we go. Anyway, so he has appeared on Andrew Marr to talk about that, but at the same time, you know, even though he is sorry for everything that has happened so far during the pandemic and stuff, he has also blamed Eat Out to Help Out, which was the scheme that took place in August, where diners got 50% off in restaurants and pubs. So yeah, and obviously he has blamed that to be the reason as to why we've seen a spike in COVID cases. I don't think that's true, to be honest. I mean, you know, I don't think it is. I mean, obviously, I think Boris is just blaming Eat Out to Help Out because obviously, well, it's something that the government have done. Obviously, it's something that people have been able to go out and do, you know. And it's just like, if you're going to blame something on us, right, maybe it's something you should have thought about way back in July before you gave it to us, you know. You allowed us to go out to these restaurants and pubs and help the hospitality sector out, you know. And you've allowed us to have 50% off on food and drink. But now you're going back and you're saying, well, I'm now blaming that scheme, and I'm blaming the public technically for going out and doing it as to the reason why we've seen a spike in COVID cases in the UK. And it's just like, well, no, I don't think that's true. You know, because had we have seen a spike in COVID cases, we would have seen this spike in August, halfway through August. But we didn't. We saw the rise in spikes, well, we saw the rise in cases, not spikes, rise in cases of COVID at the end of September, going into October, you know? So I don't know why you could blame the Eat Out to Help Out scheme as to being the reason why we've seen a spike in cases, in COVID cases. I really don't know why. But there we go, that's Boris again, not blaming the government. No, he's blaming the public, because that's what he always does. He always blames the public for doing stuff wrong. And we can't win. We really cannot win. You know? So I guess all we have to do is we have to stand there as the British public and take the brunt of it. You know? What can you do? What can you do? Right, anyway, that is all from today's coronavirus update that I have got to bring to you. So thank you for watching. Of course, I'm sure there is going to be another COVID update from me on my YouTube channel, SteveOfficial. That's coming up probably within the next week, maybe 2 weeks or so. Like I say, I am going to keep on doing these COVID updates for you throughout this month, and maybe going beyond right up until the end of the year. But obviously we shall wait and see, of course, on that. But anyway, if you have enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you've not yet subscribed to my YouTube channel, hit the subscribe button down below. Of course, my next YouTube video is coming up for you very, very soon here on my YouTube channel, SteveOfficial. Of course, I've got a cooking video which is up right now as well, which is me making scrambled eggs with a bacon sausage. Is it bacon? Yeah, bacon sausage egg. Yeah, bacon and sausage sandwich with that as well. Trying to get my words out here. But do join me on Friday this week. For my next YouTube video, which is coming out on the 9th of October, of course, where I'll be giving you guys an October 2020 SteveOfficial update, because I've changed a few things around in terms of my YouTube schedule, which of course I wanted to give you guys an update for. But from me though, it's goodbye, thank you for watching, and I will see you guys in my next YouTube video.